One. We are live. Hey guys, how's it going? We're live everywhere, all over the world, right, Mindy?
Absolutely.
I'm with Mindy Powerhouse Pechenuk. How are you?
Great. And it's always great to be with you, Jason. Thanks for having me back on.
Thank you. We're doing an afternoon version. I like the afternoon versions. It's a little brighter, right? My mood is a little better. I've had about a gallon of coffee, which is super important. And you're bright and you're up bright and early up out there in Oakland. So guys, thanks for joining us as the Jason J. Daniels Show. We're live on Rumble, YouTube, X. I have my guest with me, Mindy Pechenuck. Mindy is running for Oakland mayor once again. Now, how many times is this? This is three.
This will be my second time for mayor. I
Okay,
ran for city council at large, but my second time for mayor.
she's
I'm
in it to win it.
Yep. I
You're
love
running.
Oakland, and I think we can save it from the hands of those who want to destroy it.
The forces of evil.
Yes.
Well, everybody's trying to figure out what happened. They still are in the election, and you've been a really nice guest to have on. So thank you so much. So for those who don't know you, I'm going to give you an opportunity to give the elevator speech of your bio talk to the viewers.
Well, I'm a veteran warrior for the good. I'm 70, going to be 74 this year. And I've spent the better part of 50 years of my life fighting for the good of the American system and for the development of humanity, as our founding fathers had seen it. And I'm trained as a classical musician. And I always like to people. In fact, I just did a concert with the Bayfield Youth Orchestra. That they needed a bassoonist, which was a concert that they do side by side with the professional orchestra, so the youth get to work with the professionals. I'm a community volunteer, and we just had a great concert last Saturday, and it's such a joy to be able to help the young people in what they do. And I'm running for mayor again because Oakland needs it, and what's happened to the city should never happen to a city, and it can be reversed. I've worked with for 50 years with Lyndon LaRouche, and I'm proud of it. I'm a supporter of Donald Trump for president, which makes some people scared and other people very happy. So I could say more, but I'll let the interview, as we go through it, it'll all come out.
It will all come out on the wash, you know. Thank you so much, Mindy. I always love to have my guests give their bio, then I give a bio. I'm like, what do I find? Because that's what people do. They search people on the internet. Now, our bios match. You are a musical genius. That's what I have there, music genius. You are registered Republican. Registered Republican. You identify as a Trump supporter, clearly. You wear the hat. You have the hat, and you have a cardboard cutout of President Trump that you take with you. You look for it. So is it there? Next time we have to have it join us.
My living room here.
Some people are terrified of Donald Trump. You wake up, come out to the living room. He's there having coffee with you. I love that. But he's winning. I'll have to just say, I don't understand how people can't stand him because he's winning. Like, you're winning. Like, I think people just need to get on board with winning. I think that's important. I mean, don't we want America to win, and don't we want Oakland to win? And you were obviously candidate for mayor in the last election 2 times. So this is your second time for mayor, not your third.
Right.
Okay, your second run. You came in fourth in the wild and woolly special election that rocked the world, but you actually came in third because the third place person dropped out, and that was a fugazi. He was totally a plant to try to take votes away to help Barbara Lee. Pretty obvious. No disrespect, but that's my own opinion. So essentially, him and Barbara were the same vote count. You came in third. You are the Republican choice. You're the conservative, and you came in third behind Lauren Taylor.
Right.
What does that say? I keep bringing that up, and I don't think people understand how significant that is. I think you do. So you have declared as candidate for Oakland mayor again. Like, you didn't miss a beat. Barbara Lee just got sworn in yesterday.
And I declared before her, and I filed before she was sworn in.
So you've already filed again.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Right. Okay. So, and you're doing all that stuff. So let's talk about that. Now, some people are probably like, how do you even do this? How does it work? I want to get into the interworkings and talk about that thought process for you after figuring out, okay, what the vote count was. What inspired you? One, what inspired you to let's do this again? And two, why did you jump right on and not waste any time? Like you have momentum. Talk about that.
Well, what inspired me actually through the campaign was the great response I was getting from people. And I could see people changing. And that's a very important thing that most people, I don't mind if people disagree with me. That's part of change. It's part of having as I often would say to people, I love to have the conversation. And I love to have the conversation about why I am with Donald Trump because he's been so maligned by the media, by all kinds of BS, that people don't know the mind and soul of a person. And you have to get to know that because somebody who believes in God, and now you'll see why I'm coming to this question in a minute, that knows that we're created in the image of the creator God. Man didn't create the universe. Man didn't create, the process of development that occurred. There's a lawful ordering in the universe. And we're there to discover it with the creative mind that God gave us. And so I know that most people in their hearts and souls want to have the good. They don't want fentanyl on their streets. They don't want homelessness. They don't want the destruction. And I know that the whole culture that had been developed around DEI, around transgenderism, around, let's be soft on crime, get our cuddly teddy bears and, feel good about each other. I'm old enough to know that is not the American system. The American system is a system of love, yes, but of the question of development. How does man best express that love? And that's through scientific progress, through manufacturing, through industry, not industry of pornography, not the industry of, just even more apps on your phone, but of real discovery. That's how we got here. We're still not living in caves. We have refrigerators, we have stoves, we have bathrooms, we don't have outhouses anymore. There's and that's a funny, so it's not just the technology itself. What goes into it behind that love. And I think most people in Oakland want that kind of good. They would love to see manufacturing come back. They'd love to see industry. They want safety. They want a future for their children, which is what I saw in the campaign. And had I had more support publicly, like Jason, I appreciate you so much for doing these, had, people had the courage to back me and go with me and let me go into the communities to talk to the people. I think I think it's there. And so I immediately ran again because I knew Barbara Lee was going to be a disaster. And if you look at who she is, I mean, this woman, in 26 years in Congress, in the state assembly, in the state senate, and Oakland looks like it does, what has she done for Oakland? Why should she have been the mayor of the city?
Yeah,
And
a
then
lot of people
the
said that.
garbage she brings in with her, the evil, George Soros. And I want to go to George Soros for a moment, if I can, Jason.
Sure. Let me jump in really quick. It's great stuff. You said love. I don't think anyone has been on my podcast and mentioned love when it comes to politics or working with people or looking at the future. I just want to point that out. And also, what you're saying earlier is it's about traditional values, and love is the foundation, I believe, of all traditional values. Without love, you're right, there is no reason for anything. So I just want to point that out. But let's get into Soros. Let's get into the evil empire. Go for it.
Yep. And I want to bring this up because this is what Barbara is not brought in new. It's been running our city for a long time, but not just George Soros, the man. It's what he represents, what he's a part of. That's a whole other discussion we can have more at another time.
Sure.
But I want to go to the Soros thing because I know Seneca has brought it up in the work he's doing, which is very good. I really appreciate that. And 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 you go to, why would somebody who really wants to develop Oakland make Maya Chen her chief of staff? Maya Chen has a history of being with George Soros's Open Society. And if you want to know about the Open Society, this is the oligarchical view to destroy the American nation, to destroy the sovereignty of any nation. And I was just watching an interview because I'm preparing a press release, which I will put out in the next couple of days.
Okay.
On my elect campaign and Barbara. And I was watching a 1998 interview of George Soros, which I remembered from watching in 1998. It was a 60-minute interview, which was very devastating because in that interview, I was just watching. I won't go through the whole interview, but I just want to make two key points, which gets at why I'm running and why I didn't wait to run. Because I'm not waiting to see what happens. I'm not waiting. You could put, lipstick on a fascist or a liberal policy or a progressive policy, but it's still going to be fascist and liberal and progressive.
They've been doing that for years. They're run out of lipstick.
That's right.
There's not enough lipstick to put on it.
Right, exactly.
The lipstick's getting looted. Everybody's driving into CVS and with a SUV and stealing the lipstick. You can't. It's obvious these policies have failed. So I agree.
Right.
So I want to say this to the folks that might be on the younger side than us. George Soros, he's getting up there, so he's kind of trending out, but he's very important. He would be like the Elon Musk billionaire on the left-wing lunatic side. That's the best way to put it. For me, there's categories. I think there are liberals, there are radical liberals, and then there are anarchists, left-wing lunatics that masquerade as liberals, but they're just destructive and they want to change the world for their own personal benefit, not for. So that's how I classify it.
No, that's a good way to put it. They're part of an oligarchical class.
So you said, you said the Open Society. I should know these things. I was a little surprised that I was like, what? Seneca mentioned it. I know he's been doing a lot of stuff on it. So educate us on that.
Okay. The Open Society was set up by George Soros, I believe back in if it's not the 90s, it's maybe a little earlier. And it's through the Open Society that they push this ideology that, everything is right. There's no true values. Everything that anybody wants to do is okay and should be supported. And this is how they ran a lot of the revolutions, like the colored revolutions in other countries. They've called the colored revolutions. They gave names like the Orange Revolution in Ukraine, different things like this. And this is run through the central bankers and things like, British intelligence, and other intelligence agencies in the United States.
There's some heavy geopolitical talk here on the Jason J. Daniels show. Who would have thought?
No, I'll bring it to Oakland because it's through.
I feel you.
Yeah, because of people like Chen, who I just was looking it up, the figures. She had gotten $150,000, between $110,000 to $150,000 from the Open Society Foundation of Soros. That's how he works. That's how the oligarchy. They pick up people like a Chen, or groups like Nikki Fortuna Boss. She was her chief of staff through those networks, or like the Oakland Rising Tide Center. Yeah, Soros Group backed the Tide Center here in Oakland. Received nearly $18 million in California taxpayers' funds since 2019. And so these are they create these front groups, which then Soros then puts the money in, and it looks like they're community groups. Oh, we're really trying to help the community. We're really trying to help the Black population. We're trying to help the Chinese. We're trying to help the whites, whatever it is. And these are front groups that push this social justice stuff instead of real justice. You want to know why you have crime in Oakland? Besides the fact that the police ordinances of the city council stop the police from what they would need to do. Besides, the oversight commissions would stop the police. It's just social justice warriors. Soros gave tons of money to Pamela Price when she ran for DA.
That is true. That is one of the connections, because George Soros was trying to buy off every DA he could in every major city.
Right. And she got recalled like her buddy Bodine in San Francisco.
Right.
So people have to understand this relationship. So what you're buying into is actually killing you. And George Soros in this interview said two things, which I just want to mention.
Sure.
He was asked if he believed in God. He said no. He said he believes man made God.
Interesting.
And that justifies to him everything he does. So if you are having a man who does not believe that in God, think about what you're buying into if you go along with the kinds of policies. Oakland was made a test case, not the only test case in the country, not the only test case in the world. But Oakland is like a hermetically sealed city controlled by this ideology. There you go. Yep. And the fact that Chen is now the chief of staff of Barbara Lee, who believes these ideologies. Some people really believe this kind of, touchy-feely, kind of stuff instead of real policies that develop mankind. And so this is why I wanted to jump in. And
Yeah.
Soros, most people don't know it, but when he was a child, 14, he grew up in Hungary when Hitler came to power. And his father, because Soros is Jewish, I'm Jewish, so nobody can say I'm saying anything anti-Semitic. Okay.
We have established that.
Yeah. Okay. And his father sold so that he wouldn't be taken by Hitler, gave him papers to say he was Christian, turned him over to a Christian family as the godchild. And he went around with this Hungarian Nazi to Jewish homes where they took everything out of it. And as he says, I was just a spectator, but he was there. And he says, it's got to be where either if it wasn't somebody else, it would have been me. But it's like being in finance. If I didn't do the speculation, somebody else would. So there's nothing wrong with that. I don't feel any guilt. And this to me raises a very big moral question. And people have to understand this is what was packaged and sold to Oakland since the 1970s, since the 1980s, since the 1990s. And that's why Oakland is completely in the shambles it is. And anybody thinks that Barbara Lee with Chen and her crew are going to do anything different, think again. Barbara Lee made a lot of money and a lot of deals and a lot of things when she was in Congress, took lots of trips. And how did that help Oakland?
It did.
So I rest my case on that. I could go through a lot more, but I just wanted to whet the appetite a little bit. And it's not just George Soros. He's just the tip of the public ice, the public dressing. There's much more to it than just that. But he's, the open connection that you can see.
Now, I want to let everybody know that the things you're saying about the history of George Soros is verifiable. It is verifiable online. I've heard that, myself. Why? And what you're saying is really powerful. And I guess my question, I want to see what you think about this. Why does she need a chief of staff anyway? For Oakland, it's not a strong mayor, right?
It's not a strong mayor.
So it's more than just a surface question. It's why does she need one? What is the agenda, right?
Right.
And what does a chief of staff do for the head of the head politician? They run everything.
Thank you.
They're number two. So when I saw, well, first I'm like, a transition team? Why do you need a transition team? Right? Just walk down, get in your car, go to the front door and walk in and get a desk. You're the mayor. What are you transitioning to? Right? And that was interesting to me. And then it's all these folks that from people from reporting, they're all just a bunch of radical left wing anarchists when you get down to it, where the funding comes from and the things that they support. It's not going to help Oakland. It's the same lipstick thing, right? And then my next thought is, okay, well, what are all these people coming in as what are you transitioning to? Everything's broke down. It's busted and disgusted, right? Like you got to rebuild everything. So my thought is there is an agenda that is much larger, and Oakland is going to be the petri dish for it. And that's what you're seeing. They're going to reboot the old stuff that brought everything down in the first place, all the old liberal policies that actually are not liberal as much as they are anarchist, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're evil, and they're meant to
Strong
go.
word, but it's true, man. Look at what's happening to people.
Yeah, because there is, and this is where it. You're right. Barbara Lee's just going to be the figurehead for this team that's going to run the city. And you look at the budget, it's not going to help anybody in Oakland. Another tax is not going to help. We need a total change back to the principles. I don't know how to say it better. I wish I could find better words to say it.
I think you're saying it great.
Which creates a human society.
Well, I think it is the principles of like just fundamental living, right? The basics of safety, which is a mess, housing, right? Sanitation, like we talked about months ago, children getting shot going to soccer. Like we stopped talking about that, not you per se, but I'm just saying,
Right.
It was in the news for like that family's still suffering. Little boy was going to soccer in Oakland in the middle of the campaign, and no one mentioned it and no one held them accountable. Lauren put a little thing up, which was whatever, and Barbara didn't even mention it. And no one held them accountable to the fact that like people are dying here, like literally getting killed. Like people, the smash and grabs are still happening. So the fundamentals, and then you're talking about business, right? The fundamentals of small business. We spent a lot of time with in my recent podcast with some business owners, right? And Kanitha and she's had to rebuild her business twice.
I know, Kanitha. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so is there hope? I guess my question to you: you've been there for a long time. You've been boots on the ground. You've been with law enforcement. Is there there is a dark side to this, but is there any kind of hope without changing the government over to somebody that's not a radical?
I think there is hope. That's why I'm running again. But it's going to take, because the reason I think there's hope, because I believe people are human. And you can't be, I'm of the old school of tough love a little bit, because I'm in this fight for the next generations. And, this is a question where if people will really work with me, that's what I'm reaching out to. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go into the fire. You can't put out a fire if you don't go into the fire. And you'll find that if you get a chance to really talk with people, that's what has to happen. And I'll just bring this up because one of the things I'm going to do in the campaign, even though it's not the position of the responsibility of the mayor, is literacy. Talk about our children getting shot, and then talk about our children getting shot in school, where they rather have, you talk about DEI and all this. I mean, this didn't used to exist. I know there's a lot of younger people in Oakland, and I say younger, 20, 30, 40.
Yeah, but did they really vote?
And
Who votes in Barbara Lee? Not a 25-year-old.
No, no,
It's not because of her age, it's because of she's completely outdated.
yeah,
Out of nowhere, she comes in and she's like the savior. I just don't think I don't even think that demographic voted. I think it's people 50 and up, and they
yep.
voted for her because she she represents, like you're saying, some sort of a social agenda, to
She's
get a
an icon of,
scoreboard on but the people that voted are fine.
yeah,
I
she's
think
an
the
icon of a social, of a certain agenda of people
yeah,
in Oakland who
yeah,
think that if you're a Democrat, if you're, a certain, proclivity, she's standing up for, but they got to say, what has she done?
nothing. And what if they lost everything?
Hmm.
You'd have no sports teams. You have your arts and entertainment are out. Jack London Squares, like all the really cool spots. Oakland downtown is dangerous. It's so what do you gain from letting a left wing icon just here you go? And it's the people that I just don't think people voted. And my point is, and here's my new graphic. My question to you is, can Oakland actually go red? Anything's possible. You came in third, and there
Yep.
isn't anyone more red than you, right? So, like, it's nuts. For me, it's nuts for people to discount it and say it's not possible, because the only difference between you and Lauren, well, there's a lot of differences, but just to be honest, media wise, you did not, he got the same coverage that everybody should have got. They all should have got the Politico stuff. They should have got the local TV. They should have got the sit down interviews. That's a game changer.
Right.
And my question is, why was Lauren picked for that? Because he was terrible at it.
Yeah.
Like, you're a better interview than he is. And I'm not trying to be that guy, but I'm just saying other folks have said it was a very vanilla campaign. So he didn't necessarily take advantage of that media. Look, if he had taken advantage in one, different story. You supported him as well
Yeah.
because of the ranked choice. So
Because
my
of the
point
ranked
is,
choice, which we need to get rid of.
well, you're right. Yeah, but we're stuck with it. So here's my thoughts. How do we take advantage? When I say we, how do people that don't want a liberal agenda destroying California? Let's be honest, right? And this is part of the problem. It's more than Oakland, it's California. Because if Oakland becomes a liberal stronghold that they allow to just go back, look, they're going to do whatever they want now because we're going bankrupt. Not stopping it, right? So let's just run up the credit card. That's what they're going to do. This is what you're seeing with this group coming in to try to manipulate the future. But I guess my question to you, your interview, I should let you talk. My question to you, do you believe it can go red? If you don't believe, it can't happen because there's nobody, So I want to know, do you believe it's possible? I do.
I believe it is. And I've seen a lot of potential. And like you said, if I had gotten the coverage, if I had gotten the invites, all the invites that they had, and
Yeah.
I'm calling on every community. I mean, let's sit down and talk. Let's meet. Let the churches open their doors. Let the synagogues open their doors. Let everybody, if we're really committed. And if people are scared of Trump and, well, then we should talk about it because look what he's doing. I just want to say something about this so people
Sure.
understand. He's bringing back the American spirit of true love, agape. He's bringing back industry, manufacturing, creating cities, and he's stopping fentanyl. He's
Yeah.
stopping drugs.
What's wrong
What
with
do
that?
you want?
What's wrong with that? People are mad because we're stopping drugs. What?
What is wrong? He closed the borders so that
I don't care if Donald Duck becomes president and stops people from dying from drugs. I'll take it.
right. He's cutting out all the wasteful funding. He's not cutting away the useful funding. He's making sure Medicare is there, and
Yeah.
we're getting rid of the fraud. That's different. He's making sure, that you can actually have pharmaceuticals produced in this country at a decent price. So
That's
that,
huge. Not talking about that, right? Not talking about that. Like all the cool stuff. Not talking about that. Like, can we just talk about the stuff that's working? And I think part of the problem is the messaging, right? So, for example, you're talking about getting the community, opening up the churches. Now, by the way, I'd be great in a church. But anyway, opening up the churches, what I just feel like if there is going to be a real change, it's going to come through podcasting and social media. It's because this is powerful. Social media can reach more than the mainstream, but
Yep.
there isn't enough people really believing in it. If you believe in it, it can happen.
Right.
It's really about believing in it. And the only hope for Oakland, in my opinion, from everything you said, which is so true from the beginning of this podcast to now, is somebody coming in and being an alternate choice, saying, I'm a conservative. You don't have to be afraid to vote for me. I'm a real serious candidate. I'm not going to back down because they'd be attacked and maligned and call all these terrible things. I'm not afraid of that. That's
No.
the kind of person that you need, because when you had Lauren and you had Barbara Lee, you had the same person, man. So everybody, you vote for the greater of that denominator, right?
Right.
You have the same political philosophy. In fact, the same campaign style, people. So to me, it was like, was he even a plant? Right? Like, he's the same dude. And when it came to attacking her, if he had taken the political, it just drives me crazy. If he had taken the opportunities he had and said, she will bring more corruption, like, hit her hard.
Yeah.
Didn't he let her off the hook? And so if I was going to try to let Barbara win and I was running against her, I'd do exactly what he did. And then he basically got lost in the shuffle. And everybody's like, well, he's a nice guy, but Barbara is an icon. So anyway, my point is, and maybe I'm crazy, but my thing is, why not run somebody that is completely different? Because there are people that didn't vote because they're like, why do I vote for the same thing over and over? I'm going to get screwed anyway. I can't move, right? I don't have, I don't have the resources. So, and with ranked choice. So my point is, you and a coalition of folks at least could look into that and go, could we really make a difference? I don't know. I might just be rambling, but
no, you're speaking the truth. This is what people
crazy. Like, that's, do you want to win or not? Right. And so he just didn't want to win, in my opinion, and he didn't come on a podcast, and he had plenty of opportunities, and it's just because he didn't want to talk about her.
Yeah.
The last thing he wanted to talk about was her. It's like, you gotta be kidding me.
She's such an easy target.
All right. Like, Jesus Christ. Okay, sorry. I know I have to watch my language. Okay, so we agree that it can go red if the right, formula is there, right?
Yeah, because I mean, it's such a. I mean, we're talking about the working class. That's what Trump is talking about. The working class. He's not talking about the billionaire class. He's talking about bringing back American families. That's what I want to do in Oakland. I want to see the Oakland family come back. I want to see where, we can have a city which is not just glitter. I want to see a city where you have families, where you have, being able to, raise a child or 2 children or 3 children, 4 children, and not have what we have today. And that's possible, but people have to come forward. Don't be afraid to try something different, because what you're doing isn't working.
Exactly. And I want to clarify something. Seneca and I had in my last podcast, we talked about you specifically and Seuss. Mm-hmm. And we have great respect for everyone that ran. He said some things were a little strong, but I don't feel that way, because I believe everybody has a shot, right? If we don't believe everybody has, and I'm not disrespecting what Seneca said, I agree with everything he says mostly. But in this we disagreed. I'm like, hey, everybody has a legitimate shot. That mentality keeps people from changing things, right? It always starts with one person going, I could do this. But you guys came in strong. But again, that just shows that, like, there are people out there that will vote for more of a moderate or a conservative voice. And I personally don't. There was a lot of moderate, options, right? And it didn't work. So after looking at that, I'm like, you got to go completely the opposite direction. I'm not saying be extreme completely. And
No,
you, for example, would you strongly believe in everything that Donald Trump is doing. It doesn't have to be a candidate that believes in everything that the
right.
president is doing, just somebody that believes in like common sense, you know,
Exactly. You
and
just said
going
the
like
key
this
word,
budget's
common
trash.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like the budget doesn't work. Can we get somebody? How about a transition team with a calculator? Right? Somebody who knows how to do a spreadsheet, man. Come on. Just stop blowing money and doing dumb things with the budget and then lying to yourself saying that these politicians that are elected know what they're doing. They don't. When I go to their Twitter accounts, I don't see anything about the budget. I see we got soccer and we got baseball and we got picnics and but you're broke, man. I lose my mind. I'm sorry. So okay, so I'm stealing all your time, but I'm just excited. Okay, so we talked about there's something we talked about offline, so we want to get into it.
Okay.
What about like maybe putting together something, right? Like
Right.
podcasters and social media. Everybody can bring their phones and everybody can hashtag and have an event like a roundtable or something, right?
Right.
So we're putting it out there. Don't steal our idea. But if you guys steal it, call us. Well, I want to put my money where my mouth is. I want to help. Maybe we could do something, in person. And we have all the cameras in the world. We have more video, and we're faster. We're more nimbler than, is that a word? We're nimble. We're nimble versus this mainstream media. We could, we don't have narrative. We can get the truth out. We can stream something live, no edits for the brave people. So, what do you think about that?
I absolutely want to see it happen. I think we should have a roundtable with you, with Seneca and others who want to be part of it. We should have more than one. And I
Yeah.
think if we actually did a series of roundtables,
Be cool. Take it around Oakland. That'd be cool.
yeah, take it
We can get
around
music.
Oakland. We can invite the
We get
East
some
Bay
music.
insiders. We can invite, all kinds of people and do it more than, have a whole series.
And
And I
this
think
is
if you do a
good.
series, people will start to get,
Okay.
wait a minute, you'll start to get in, the first layer maybe didn't work. The third time, maybe it starts to get in. Then another level, it'll get in. And I think if we can do a series of this, and there are people in the city who have the facilities to do it, I think it would be unique. I think it would get a lot of attention. I think it would create other people having to say, wait a minute, they're serious. They're taking things in their own hands to do the good, you know? And I can
Yeah.
join, I can be part of it. And I'd
Yeah.
even let people bring up questions in the roundtable that be total disagreement.
Yeah.
Great. Bring
Yeah, right.
on the disagreement. Let's have the conversation.
How does it work when everyone's in lockstep, right?
Yeah, that's no
It's
good.
no good. It's bad. And this is why I have an open forum for ideas. I have people come on and talk, and I don't totally 100% agree with everything they say, but I don't disagree. I'm open. But it's important that we all have different opinions. But yeah, I love that idea. Let's do it. I love it. It's cool. And now, if anybody watching this wants to get involved, hit us up. Let's do this. And
Yep.
I think anybody in Oakland that has a powerful voice, or has even voices that we don't agree with, that's how it should work. Let's
They
do
should
it.
come on. Let's
Well,
have
we
the
need
discussion.
change. Yeah, and that's the point, is that we can't have somebody from Washington take over, which is what everybody did. If we're so afraid of the federal government, why'd you hand the keys over to somebody who's a swamp creature? Let's be honest. Like, she's so swampy that she's the only one that told George W. Bush no on the war, which a lot of people respect. But my point is, that's her biggest accomplishment.
But she supported the war in Ukraine.
100%, right? But yeah, let's right. So it's which war? It's the war of our choice. My point is that we need somebody. We as I'd say, look, for me, it's Oakland, it's California. It's more. We need people that are not just going to automatically let people come in without challenging them as a candidate to really earn it. She was ushered in, and we predicted this way back. Seneca and I said people are just going to kiss the ring. And I got a lot of flack for that. I had one of the candidates call me and say, well, it looks like you love Barbara Lee. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Then that person joined Barbara Lee. What do you? What the fuck? Then that person was campaigning for. I'm like,
You
what?
could see the way they ran the campaign.
Yeah, yeah. So I see through all of it. So that's why I'm saying, why don't we do a roundtable and see through it? As a team. It just sounds like, and maybe we just want to hear ourselves talk. Why not? Right? That'll be fun. But, you know, but look, so Mindy, you've been amazing. We're running on our time.
Okay.
So I do, but no, I don't want to. We have a few more minutes, but I think it's a great idea. I want to ask you about Chantal. Do you have any updates on it? I know you have your ear to the ground. You know everybody. It seems like nobody knows what's going on. Do you have any updates? I'm wondering. That's a big
I've
trial.
been keeping everything under wraps.
Yeah.
My guess is there's a lot of probably the way these things tend to work, and I'm not saying this is exactly what's happening but I've seen a lot of these kind of political things happen. First of all, a lot of times when they go after somebody like Shang Tao, they're going after her as red meat.
True.
Because they're trying to get to something higher up.
Good point.
And that's often the case in these kind of political arrests. I've seen it over 50 years. I've seen it numerous times.
So like a bigger
I can't
fish.
say I know that for a fact, but
fish.
I've seen the way these things go down and the way that, that now the question is, obviously she deserves to be in jail. She did do things that you don't do as a political leader. You don't do pay to play. You don't make the kind of deal she made, which really hurt the city. And whoever she was listening to, and I can imagine there's certain people like her circle, which is the Bontas and, Robin Mia and Gavin and other people. I think some people need to be made an example of, that you don't get away with it. Now they're being quiet, but this thing is going to take a while because I think they're, it's like, I think, Comey needs to, former head of the FBI, Comey needs to be made an example of for what he did in putting out the 8647.
That was pretty wild.
Yeah. Calling for the assassination
of the
president of the United
On
States.
the anniversary, what anniversary of something? Was it like a anniversary of something? I forget what it was, but when he did it, but
yeah.
So
it's 9/11 was, I think, the anniversary.
Yeah.
Remember right?
It was that weird.
No, it wasn't 9/11 because that
was it like one of the assassination attempts or something? I don't know what it was.
I forget which it was because 9/11.
Yeah, it was too, like on the nose.
Yeah, it was. I forget now.
And me too. But we agree. Like so I like what you're saying. I didn't think that through. You're right. People don't realize the garbage guys are connected to the attorney general, right? Rob's the attorney general.
They're connected to a lot of people, but not everybody does pay to play with them. But some people, like the Bontas and Shang Tao,
a lot of money from them. He had to give it all back, and then okay, we're cool. One article, we're cool.
He took it work that way.
Yeah, you're right. The media in San Francisco Bay Area completely in the tank for these guys. But I mean, what do you expect? But look, if we're talking about Oakland could go red, like we're seriously talking about that, then the change is legitimately real. Like there is something in the air. And if you don't take advantage of it, what does it ever change? But thanks for your update on that. I was just wondering, I'm going to cover the trial myself.
Good.
I'm going to podcast it. And if I can go, I might. It's just that might not be necessary because, there's only so many seats. But I'm going to start working on that. But I'm trying to research and realize there's nothing happening. In fact, there was an article last month or in April, and her lawyers went to the judge and said the government's dragging their feet. We want a faster trial, which was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. And I think that could be part of what you're saying is that they're fact finding and they're trying to find a bigger fish. Because whoever goes to court and says, I want a faster trial so you can put me in jail faster, like she's not getting off. If they had an opportunity, unless they think they've got a smoking gun, but they don't. It was just weird. And I think they were doing that to try to prevent any more discovery, right? And then get in. Once the discovery stops, it stops. And then anything that happens after the fact becomes more of a legal process, and then it can be challenged, right? So the judge actually ordered the government to have like a court appointed discovery helper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the court's going to monitor the discovery process of the Fed until the Fed is exhausted their discovery process. So they're still letting them do it, but they're actually going to be held accountable to the court as to how fast they're working. Interesting. I've never seen that before. That's wild. But
Yep.
again, it's federal, so the federal judges are rogue as shit. They can do whatever
Yeah,
they're wild. Where they think they're God. It's wild. They just like
yeah,
every day it's another federal judge deciding, a federal judge in Washington or Philadelphia deciding to impose something that's going to affect us in California. It's not constitutional. It's not. It's never.
no,
It's not. They don't have that power under the Constitution. The Supreme Court's even trying to figure that out. That's even surprising.
yeah.
Anyway, okay. So thank you for your update on that. Okay, so I'm going to give you the last word, Mindy. Did we miss anything? Now we have to send people to your website. You're revamping your campaign. Let's bookend it. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about you bringing change to Oakland. It's all you.
Okay, well, I will have my website up in June. So, but it's going to be under electmindy.com. Right now it's down, but I'm revamping it for the new campaign. But by the end of June, I plan to have it up and running and invite everybody to go to the site. You can also go to my X account and follow me there on X. And I would encourage you to send me emails. You can reach out to me right now at info@electmindy.com. That is live. I'd love to hear from you. Also reach out to Jason and he'll definitely reach back to me. And because I think people should really, this is a time of our life. We're only here for a short time, even if we live to 100 years old. Let's do something that actually succeeds. We're in a revolutionary period. And this is not a time for practicality. When I was a kid, my mother used to tell me, practicality killed the cat.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead cats. There's a lot. Or maybe we need more dead cats with more practicality.
So don't be practical.
Right.
Revolutionary is right when it's guided by the principles that we've talked about of this country that was founded our country. And we're here to do something immortal for the next generations as they have a responsibility to do to their next generations. And what have we got to lose? We only have everything to gain. As Jason said, common sense. And so I encourage everybody to work with me, to work with Jason. Let's put together a team that's going to go out there. And, I've always, my whole life I'll just say this, been guided by that kind of good, that kind of love, and also standing up for what's right. I'll just tell a quick funny story to end with. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and this is in the late 1950s. I was in third grade, and we'd go on field trips. And my partner in the field trip was a young black boy, and you always held your hand of your partner on the field trips. Well, the PTA didn't like that. They called my mother in front of the PTA and said, "You can't let her hold hands with a black boy." And my mother said, "Why not?" And I continued to hold his hand, and my mother got thrown out of the PTA. So you have to stand up for what is right. And that's the kind of fight I'm making for mayor, both to lead the city, but also the campaign. I'm not going to sit back and let Barbara Lee and her friends and her higher ups in the ladder, like other people, maybe like Barack Obama and others, not only just not destroy Oakland or this country. So I'm calling on you to find that place in your heart, find that place in your soul, to join with me. And you know what? It's a lot of fun. It's a challenge, a lot of work, but it also is a lot of fun to do the good. So that's how I would end at this point, Jason.
Well, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
If it's not my motto and everything I've done, even mostly my relationships, hey, if it's not fun, it's done. I'm bad at relationships. Clearly, things don't work for me. But
yeah,
Mindy Pechenuk, you are my hero. Thank you for coming back. You're always welcome, and we're gonna.
Anytime you want, I'm available. I always love it's great to be on your show, and I'm looking forward to our conspiracy on roundtables.
Yes, we're gonna get so crazy. We're gonna get all the people hate, all the people don't like, and then put them all on a table. Everybody that's blocked me, they're gonna have to talk to me. We're gonna have fun, and I just really love what you said. You're just speaking the truth. It's really good to have you. It's refreshing. And one last thing I will say, and the business owners should hear this: $50 minimum wage is coming.
Oh,
It's coming.
it's a
We've
disaster.
talked to you about it. We told you. It's been in Politico. It's all over. It's coming, and that's why she brought. Here's the end of the quiz. My question I asked earlier: why does she need a transition team? These people are going to transition you. They're going to transition everything about you. They're going to transition your finances, your thinking. They're here for you. They already got Oakland. So take that into consideration, business owners, because if you want to sustain a $50 minimum wage, go right ahead. It's coming. So I think you should find somebody like Mindy to support who will fight that, who will have a conversation about it, who will make it public. But no one else at this point I've seen has the spunk to put it out there. Now, some of the other candidates have talked about it, but it's serious now. It's going to really affect businesses, and it's going to drive people to go outside to get things and services. Things are going to shut down. It's only going to get worse. So there you go. Sorry, I guess I was going to end on a positive note.
Yay.
All right, so Minnie, have a good one. You take
You
care.
too.
We'll have you. We'll stay in touch with you in your campaign, and we want to say thank you guys for watching. Follow Mindy. Follow me. Subscribe. Please follow and sub and subscribe. If you hit like and if you share, repost, it tells the algorithm that what you watched is important, and we would really appreciate that. Mindy and I both would. Take care, guys. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.
Okay. Yep. Flip City Magazine agrees. He says it's a revolutionary period.
Oh, we love Flip City. We even got a comment in. We love that. Thanks, guys. Take care. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.
Take care. Thanks, Jason.
You're
Bye for
welcome.
now.
Talk to you.